Hey guys, today we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 38. Here we kind of get a unique story in the middle of the story of Joseph. So we can see in verse 1, it says, "It happened at the time when Judah went down from his brothers and turned aside to a certain Adulamite." Now, if you remember Judah is the fourth born son to Leah, right? So you have this Simeon, Levi, Reuben, and then you have Reuben, Simeon, Levi, then Judah. So it's the fourth born son, hasn't really done much for himself or his life. And now we see, hey, I'm going to make something of myself. So what happens? So he goes and he marries a Canaanite woman. Now, you have read the Old Testament. You have seen time and time again that they've kind of tried not to marry into the Canaanite women because of their faith, because of their religion. And this is just something that God told Abraham, and it has been passed down and passed down. But here we see Judah breaking that law, breaking that commandment of God. And so he marries a Canaanite woman, and he has three sons, Onan, and Shelah. And so he has these three, and then he gives a wife to his first one, and her name was Tamar. But it tells us that his firstborn son, he was a wicked man, and he was so wicked that God killed him. That just tells you how wicked of a person that he was. And so then he told his second son, Onan, um, to marry his sister-in-law. Now, we will find out in Deuteronomy chapter 25 that this will be called a Levirate marriage, and this will become normal for Israel to do. That if you have a woman who is widowed and she has not had a son that would pass on the name, and a son that would protect her and carry her and financially support her, then it would be the responsibility of the next brother to marry that widow, that he would give a child to her. But that child would not be his son, it would be her brother's son. He would pass on his brother's name. And so here Judah tells his second son, hey, you need to do this. But we can see in verse 9 that whenever he went into her, he would not inseminate her. And so because he did not want to have a child that was not his. The son would be her dead husband's, his dead brother's son. And so he didn't want to do this. So he was using this woman, he was using Tamar for just sex and not to give a son. And it says that the Lord saw that this was bad and killed him also. And so Judah says, hey, Tamar, come into my house, right? You're a widow. Come into my house. I will keep you. I will protect you. And wait till my son gets older. My third son, Shelah, wait till he gets older. But we will see that as he gets older, he doesn't give her, to him. He's afraid that his third son is going to die just like his older two. And so basically, he takes this young girl and keeps him in his family and doesn't allow her to marry anybody else. And so now you have a young widow who has no children, that will eventually, basically, when Judah dies, that she would be pushed off and be in poverty, begging. There would be no one to support her. So because of Judah's sin of not giving her son, she has to do something on her own. And so verse 14, it says she takes a veil. She sits at the entrance of the city of Timnah, which basically means that she dressed like a prostitute and she sat where the prostitutes sat. And she was there for a guy, and only one guy, and that is her father-in-law, Judah. And so, let's see. So she was there. She saw that Shelah was grown up. And so all this happens, and basically she sleeps with him. But before they do, she organizes a price. A price was a young goat. But she said, but how do I know that you will pay me? I need a pledge, or I need collateral, because you don't have the goat with you. And so Judah says, sure, I'll give you collateral. And it says that he gives her your signet, a ring that gives the authority of him, your cord and your staff. These are all the things that shows this is the power of Judah in all that Judah owns. And so he says, I'll loan this to you until I am able to send a servant to give you your young goat. Then she would be responsible to giving back those things. It's just a pledge, collateral for the young goat. And then, they have sex, and she goes away. And it says that she arose and went away, taking off her veil. She put on the garments of her widowhood. She went back to normal life. She was there to get Judah. She's got that. Now she's going back to him as if nothing had ever happened. And then Judah sends one of his servants and with this young goat and goes to the Timnah and looks all around and can't find this woman. And he asks the people of the town, hey, what's the deal? Where's the prostitute? And they said, sir, there's not a prostitute in this village. And he said, no. My master has come through and there would be somebody. And they said, no, there's no prostitute here. And so he comes back and tells Judah, and Judah says in verse 23, let her keep the things. Let her keep the ring, the cord, and the staff, because it would bring embarrassment to the family. If I said, hey, I slept with a prostitute, this prostitute stole this from me, it would just bring embarrassment. So he says, no, just let her keep this. But about 3 months later, somebody told him that Tamar, your daughter-in-law, is pregnant. She's a widow. There's no reason that she should be. Nobody really loves her. And so it's very easy for him to cast judgment. And he said, well, bring her out. We're going to kill her, right? She let her be burned. And so she was brought out, and she said, wait a minute, before you burn me, before you kill me, the guy who got me pregnant is the owner of this ring, this cord, and this staff. And Judah realized at that moment, that's my ring, my cord, my staff. I slept with my daughter-in-law. But notice what he says. He says, she is more righteous than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah, and he did not know her again. And so he realized that the sin of not doing what was right, of having his third son go into Tamar, right? That it was his sin that drove her to trick him so that she could have a child, so that she could be taken care of for her life. And so he did not blame her. He blamed himself. And so what happens? They come. She's pregnant. She has twins. And then we see this little neat story that goes on. When the midlife, a hand came out of the mom. They tied a scarlet band, but the hand goes in, and then the other child comes out. And it says, therefore, his name shall be called Perez. And afterward, the brother came out with the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. And so it's just kind of a neat little story. You'd ask yourself, where in the world is Jesus at in this picture, right? In this story, in chapter 38. What's interesting is there's not too many times this happens, but in Matthew 1 and in Luke chapter 3, we get the genealogy of Joseph and we get the genealogy of Mary, showing us the full genealogy of Jesus. And in both genealogies, Matthew 1, Luke 3, we have Perez. Perez is mentioned, that the Messiah will come through Perez. And so here we see the Messiah coming through a son of a man who has sinned, a woman who has sinned, but God's grace is still moving through. The Messiah is still coming, no matter what man does, that God is in charge. Hope that makes sense. We'll see you tomorrow in chapter 39. God bless.